Well, hello and good afternoon, everybody. My name is Rebecca Griffin, and I'm coming to you live from Southern College of Optometry Admissions and Student Services office. I'm really happy to be here and happy to see a great group of students on the line to learn a little bit more about SCO and the curriculum. I know I've met a handful of you looking at the list of names. Some of you have been here to campus for interviews. Have decided that you're going to come, and we're really excited to have you here next year. A few others are still, considering options, and I know we have some prospective students out there who are still in undergrad and figuring out where they want to go and what schools to apply to and so forth. So we have a little bit of a mixed bag here today, but we're happy to have you all here, and we've tried to build a presentation that's relevant to each of you no matter where you're at in the stage of the game today. So once again, thanks for being here. For those of you who I have not met, you can see my picture in the slide here. Also on the line is Dr. Lindsay Elkins, who is one of our professors and also our Director of Academic Programs here at SCO. And she's going to be the one to really lead the conversation today and tell you all about the curriculum over the 4-year program that we offer here. And before I hand it off to her to rock and roll, I did just want to mention that we will be fielding questions. So if you have any along the way, go ahead and type your questions into the box that you see in the GoToWebinar system. And depending on the flow of the presentation, we might answer some along the way. Otherwise, we will be sure to field all of your questions at the end of the session today. We will also record and post the recording link to our YouTube page, and I'll follow up with an email to each of you and the link to the recording in the next day or so. Without any further ado, let's kick off the presentation. I want to say hello to Dr. Elkins. Thanks for being here. And if you don't mind just introducing yourself really quick, and then we are ready to rock and roll whenever you are.
Great. Thank you so much, Rebecca. Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Lindsay Elkins. I am a graduate of Southern College of Optometry. I graduated in 2007. Before then, I graduated from the University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill. I'm from North Carolina originally. Went straight to SCO, graduated in 2007. I did a residency for 1 year at a VA medical center in Memphis, Tennessee, in primary care and ocular disease. And then I came right back to SCO. I'm still in our clinic, mostly in our primary care clinic, but as Rebecca mentioned, I'm also the director of our academic programs, and that's mainly why I'm here, to go over our curriculum with you. So please, as Rebecca said, if you have any questions at any time, feel free to type them out. She'll field them to me, and we're happy to answer any questions you might have. And Rebecca will chime in at any time if she has some additions to whatever I may say. So we'll go ahead and get started. So our mission guides everything that we do. Our mission is to lead the profession by educating the best possible healthcare providers, promoting lifelong learning, and fostering a personal commitment to service. And we strive to make sure that we are trying to achieve this in pretty much everything we do. And we think that we're pretty unique in our mission. We're very proud of it. So our curriculum includes more than 192 semester credit hours of coursework over 4 years. And that's quite a lot. That's really one of the big things that makes coming to professional school, to optometry school, so much different than undergrad. It's a lot of work. That includes didactic coursework, so your traditional sitting in a lecture hall. It also includes laboratories where you're practicing up on your clinical skills, actual clinic rotations in our various clinics, as well as service activities. As we mentioned, service is a big part of our mission, and we include it in our curriculum. We are very fortunate to be located in the state of Tennessee. If you're not familiar with the legal aspects of optometry, all of optometry, it depends on what state you're practicing in, the level of abilities you're able to practice at. So your scope of practice, that's going to be dictated by your state board. And so we're very fortunate that the state of Tennessee, we have a very progressive Optometric Practice Act. And we're able to do injections, prescribe oral medications, treat glaucoma. And these are things that you're going to learn all about in your curriculum. You will at some point during your second year perform ocular injections and intramuscular injections on each other. Other states may include this in their scope at some point in time. Tennessee does not have lasers as part of our optometric practice, but you still get a laser workshop, which is very similar to, I'm not sure what just happened there with our slides.
Let's see. Okay.
You got it?
Just a moment, guys. Sorry about this. I'm not sure what happened either, but
you'll still be, during our curriculum, you'll still have exposure. During your third year, you have a perioperative and lasers course, which we have some of our instructors that have become certified in lasers, and it's the same instruction that you would get when you become certified, should you go to one of the few states that has that in their scope, or should other states incorporate it in the future, you'll be prepared. Okay. As we mentioned, we do place a very strong emphasis on our clinical education. Our didactic instruction is very important as well, but we have state-of-the-art clinical facilities and a wide variety of clinical exposures. So our eye center is very up to date, as we have a very brand new classroom as well. So we're keeping things at the forefront for you. We've got some pictures here coming up. We do have some new external clinics as well. So our main clinic is on Madison Avenue in the heart of Midtown Memphis. And so we do see a lot of urban population, a lot of systemic disease, and people that have a lot of ocular disease as well. And so we know that that clinic is very strong in those exposures, but we don't want to pigeonhole our students to just being good in those really complicated ocular disease-centered things. So we also have external clinics, one being the University Eye Care. So University Eye Care is actually a clinic that's located on the campus for University of Memphis, and so you'll get more exposure to college students, a lot healthier, younger demographic. You can see our Mobile Eyes booth that's in that bottom right-hand corner. That's in front of our tower. That's our main academic complex, is the tower behind the Mobile Eyes unit. But that Mobile Eyes unit, we take that to local schools, community events, and we can actually provide eye exams on that mobile unit. So we're trying to break down barriers to care so that we can serve all areas of our community. The focal point at the Crosstown Concourse is our newest clinic. The Crosstown Concourse is only a couple of blocks away from SCO, but it's a very up-and-coming area. It's more of a boutique optical and a boutique feel with a lot of our advanced equipment. We're triaging, using scribes for documenting patient care, so more of a private practice type feel. So we're trying to get our interns a lot of different exposures through our clinical sites, because we do value academics very highly, but all of you that want to become optometrists, the majority are going to be seeing patients, and we want everybody to be ready for any mode of practice that they're going to go into. Okay. So again, our SCO facilities, you saw the tall tower in the back, and again, it's an 11-story building. Our main academic complexes are there. The building on the front, that's mostly our atrium and our classrooms, our two main classrooms. That was just built in the last couple of years, so everything is state-of-the-art. The top right-hand corner, that is one of our 2 rooms that are completely set up like the National Board of Examiners in Optometry. The Part 3 of that national licensing exam is a clinical skills exam that's actually the centralized location in Charlotte, North Carolina, and they actually video you performing different skills. And so this is one of 2 rooms that we have set up just like that setup, where it will be videoed so you can get used to the equipment before you take that part of national board. Hopefully you've been able to familiarize yourself a little bit with the process of what it's like to actually get your license in optometry. In addition to passing all of our curriculum, there are 3 parts to national boards that everyone has to pass. Part 1 is basic science. Part 2 is still a written test. These are both on the computer, but it's more diagnosis and management, the treatment management of ocular disease, and then Part 3 is the clinical skills exam. And so that all of our rooms look very similar to this, but what's special about the one in the picture there is that it's set up for that video recording to get you used to that as well. And the bottom right-hand corner, that's actually our surgical observatory room. We work very closely with some of our ophthalmology partners at our specialty group, and When we can, we coordinate care when they're doing some of their surgeries that they can do in-house, or even triaging some of the patients before they actually have surgery. When we are able to coordinate having that there, we can bring interns down to watch our ophthalmology partners either doing evaluations or surgical procedures in that observatory. Let's see. Okay, so I mentioned the classroom complex, that it's only been available in the last handful of years. So that's where you, in a room like that, on that left-hand side, that's where you're going to have most of your classes. So there are plugs there for all your devices. You take your exams usually on a laptop or iPad, whatever device it is that's compatible. But most of your exams will be on the computer. And that's where most of your lecturers will be, at the very bottom there at the podium. And there's plenty of plugs and outlets there as well. I'm very comfortable seating. To the right-hand side, on that, those are your laboratories. So in the very bottom one on the right, those are probably first-year students. At the very beginning, you're using equipment and figuring out how to begin some of your clinical skills. And above that, we have that picture of the eyeball on the screen. That's from the slit lamp camera, the person being examined there. That is what they're seeing through that slit lamp is what is projected on the screen, and we can use that to demonstrate some of our techniques and show you some of the findings when you're learning those techniques in your second-year lab. Very proud of those facilities. Okay, so we mentioned a little bit already about how our curriculum at SCO is different than undergrad. There's a huge increase in the amount of material. That's probably one of the biggest, but also everything you take is integrated. So it's all building on each other. We have a sharp focus on our mission. We're always keeping in mind our ultimate goals of educating the best possible healthcare providers. And so it's not that there are any classes that there might be some that you find easier than others, but they all work together. So they're all going to build on each other. There's not really anything that you can kind of memorize it real quick and then you never need it again. That's really not the case anymore.
If I can chime in really quick, Dr. Elkins,
sure.
Because I'm often asked by students who come in for interviews and even just in counseling sessions, otherwise, what the biggest challenges are for students as they're leaving undergrad and coming to grad school. And I think one of the noteworthy things that I've heard a lot of students talk about is the amount of material, as Dr. Elkins mentioned. So in terms of the challenge of the program and getting used to being here at SCO, it's not necessarily always that the content is so much more difficult than what you're experiencing in undergrad. It's just that you have such a large volume to learn and to remember and commit to memory at the same time. So just because I'm often asked that question, I thought I'd chime in with that. And you'll see, in this next slide or two, a little bit more about what that large volume of classwork includes.
And Rebecca is absolutely correct. Occasionally, I'm able to participate in some of the interviews as well, and that is one of the questions we get asked a lot. And I completely agree. A lot of these courses, if you were just taking the one course, you probably have no problem with it, and it might not be any more difficult than anything you took in your undergrad, but having it all together. And you're going to have some classes that are very memorization-based, a lot of anatomy, those basic sciences, but you'll also have the ones that are like physics and optics that have those applications. So if a lot of people have a strong suit in one or the other type techniques, and you really have to be able to do them both. And so if you're used to being able to devote a ton of time to one class, you really have to find a different way of studying. You still have time to have fun. Our students have a lot of fun together. There's a lot of extracurricular activities. But you might, the first couple of semesters, you have to figure out what works for you, making a study plan and being able to continually study. It's really hard to cram for anything here. So as far as we're going to go through now, just look at each of the 4 years. Your first year, fall and spring term, it's mostly basic science heavy. The basic sciences are your foundation for everything that follows. So your anatomy, physiology, optics, vision science, and biochemistry. Now, a lot of those you may have taken some version of it in your undergrad. So here it may be very similar, but it's going to be much more geared to the things that the concepts you're going to need to know to build on for optometry specifically. And if you have an opportunity to get more exposure to these types of classes, when you're picking your electives, if you're not already getting all of these in your science major, the more exposure you have to this before you come, it'll just make it easier for you when you get here. So again, students begin at learning their theory and methods during the very first term of their first year. If you remember that picture in the lab, you get your diagnostic kit and you start using some of those pieces of equipment. And a lot of times the people that you're working on in your lab, you're working on each other. So you're all in the same boat, and you have a lab group of about 30 people, 26 to 30 people, and so you'll rotate to get very familiar working on these skills together. And everybody generally helps out each other. It's not a competitive environment. Everybody's in the same boat, but you get an opportunity to try out these skills quite a bit on each other. And having a class of 120, 130 or so, you get a lot of exposure to different people and different eyeballs before you actually have to do this on real patients, which is a great benefit. So as far as your actual schedule, there are about 23 to 24 credit hours per term in that fall and spring. And so that's quite a bit. If you think about, for some of you that might still be an undergrad, a lot of people might take 12 hours some semester. So that load, those extra hours are pretty challenging. So the more you can challenge yourself in undergrad to make sure you can handle that increase in load, the better. And as far as actual lecture time, contact time with your instructors, that's going to be about 18 to 19 hours a week. And during your first year, those classes are in the morning. So usually starting somewhere around 8 a.m. Occasionally we have a 7:30, sometimes a 9, but usually starting early in the morning. Your lab groups, that'll rotate. You'll have different labs, different days. It'll be about 9 hours a week, and those will be in the afternoon. Okay. Second year. During your second year, that actually, when you're done with your first year in May, you have a little bit of a break, about a 6-week break, and then around July 10th or so, the summer mini term begins for your second year. And that's a very condensed term, and that's trying to get you back in the swing of things, trying to spread out some of this curriculum, but that's a very condensed term, and so it's pretty challenging. You'll have, and then your fall and spring term will be the more traditional, closer to 15-week term. But during your second year, you'll have pathology, pharmacology. You'll also have classes on clinical communications and patient care, so simulating what it's like to have to talk about health conditions with an actual patient. You'll also have an evidence-based medicine course, and that's important because the science is going to change over time. I feel like I haven't been out that long, but 10 years, in 10 years, a lot of things change. And as you know, part of our mission is lifelong learning, and you need to be able to keep up with how things change in the future. As far as the actual schedule, like I mentioned, the summer mini term, it's only 8 credit hours, but it's that condensed amount of time. It only goes through, I think, July 10th through the end of August. So it's about a 6-week term. So you have 13 hours of lecture a week. You have 5 hours a week in your lab and clinic because you still have to keep up with your clinical skills. In fall and spring, it's a little bit less than in your first year, only 21 to 22 credit hours that term. It's still a lot of time. And during your second year, your labs are in the morning, and then your lectures are in the afternoon. But essentially, it's an all-day type schedule. Your lab days are probably more what's going to vary depending on what lab you have and which day.
And Dr. Elkins, do you mind commenting a little bit on what the students start to do in the second year in terms of patient interaction, the school screenings and so forth?
Sure. During the summer term, your skills that you're working on, you'll have completed how to do a glasses prescription. You'll also start dilating each other and getting exposure to the fundus and some of those health things. In your fall term, you'll have already had an exposure to our ServiceLearning, or Introduction to ServiceLearning. And part of ServiceLearning is in the fall, you'll go out into the community to do school screenings. So you'll take all the skills that you've been practicing on each other, and you'll go into the community to provide screenings. And I actually used to coordinate our school vision screening program. We go all over Shelby County, which is Memphis is a big part of, but a lot of the outer lying areas, as well as in the heart of Memphis. And in a lot of the schools, the state of Tennessee requires that the children have vision screenings at either pre-K, kindergarten, second, fourth, and on up. And so we often provide those vision screenings, and that will actually be your first opportunity to try your skills on people that are not your lab partners. And so, and it's actually, it's great because you're not getting graded on each patient encounter there. So it's a great opportunity to get your skills up to par. And not only that, it's not your lab partner, but these are kids. Some of them are 3-year-olds and on up to middle schoolers and sometimes high schoolers. So it's a whole different communication difficulty because you guys will be used to communicating with each other, and you're generally going to be cooperative with each other. And so hopefully your skills, you will have already passed proficiencies on all the skills that you'll be using there, but then you'll actually get to enhance your skills even more, communication and the clinical aspects, as well as providing a service to our Memphis community. So that's a program I'm very proud of, and it's great for our students. And that'll occur in your fall and the spring. You'll also have opportunities to rotate through our clinic, doing observations on our mobilized unit. Like, as I mentioned, they provide full eye exams. So our screenings, people do not get, it's not a comprehensive eye exam. It's very different. It's just seeing if there's anything large that stands out that says you definitely need to have an eye exam. So we're not giving prescriptions. On our mobile eye unit, we can actually follow back up with some of those areas we did the school screening and provide full eye exams to those children. If they need to get glasses, they can get those on the bus. If they need to be dilated and have a comprehensive eye exam, they have that as well. So that's a difference there, but that you'll have an opportunity during your second year to participate in that as well. And likely be a part of our focal points clinic to try working as a scribe for some of your upperclassmen. And those are things that are newly developing. So we're always looking for more opportunities to get you familiar with patient care and how it's going to develop even before you're providing that comprehensive vision care. So that the second year, you're still very heavy in the didactics, but it's ramped up your clinical exposures. All right, so third year, right after you're done in May of your second year, you'll have about a week off, and then you are now a third year, and you will begin seeing patients in our eye clinic and the eye center in Memphis. So you're going to be straight into patient care. You'll be not on your own. There's usually 4 people in a suite, and you have 1 staff doctor, but that'll be the first time you will be providing comprehensive vision care, utilizing all of your skills starting that summer of your third year. And once you get into third year, the emphasis is going to shift a little bit more to that clinical care, but you still have a pretty heavy didactic schedule. You'll still be doing things like going through physical diagnosis, strabismus and amblyopia, glaucoma, and integrative analysis. So integrative analysis takes all the courses that you've had and utilizes patient care scenarios so that you're putting it all together and having to use critical thinking to go through how you would handle a patient scenario like that. And as well, you're already going to be seeing patients in our clinic. So you'll have 21 to 28 hours of clinic each week. You'll have a little bit less lecture hours, but you're still going to have a jam-packed schedule. So that's usually when people get pretty excited because that's what you're going to be doing for the rest of your life. You finally get to start doing comprehensive vision care. And one of the neat things I think about our institution is that all of your instructors are also optometrists. All except one, our physiology instructor. She does vision science research. She has a PhD in that. She's the only instructor that you won't have, that the 2 will have, that won't be in the clinic as well. So even your basic science instructors are also seeing patients in our clinic. So we can directly tie things to the clinical care that we're providing every day. As I mentioned before, I still see patients in our primary care clinic, and we're very proud that we're very clinically oriented. We want to make sure, as I've said, that all of our students are well prepared to provide clinical care. So it's all based in basic science and built upon that, but our clinical care we're very proud of. And then once you get into fourth year, it's all patient care all the time. In the eye center, you have 3 different terms. So it'll still be summer, fall, and spring, but one of those terms will be on site in Memphis at the eye center, but you also have 2 externship sites. And you get to actually pick those, and the order of those will vary as well. And usually the classes work very closely together because there may be some more sought after sites that people people may want the same site, but usually if one person agrees to go in the summer, someone else will go in the fall, and someone else will go in the spring. Most people can work it out to get what they want. And a lot of times people may gear this to trying to go back to their hometown if that's where they want to find a job, or try to make sure that they're somewhere where they can look for that job. Or if you're going to do a residency, which we're going to talk about that a little bit more. But the externships, we have them all over the country, and that's a very exciting time. ServiceLearning, I mentioned this to you after your, in the summer of your second year, when you're in that mini term, you actually have an Introduction to ServiceLearning course. The vision screenings are part of ServiceLearning. We also have other things integrated into our curriculum where you will actually be doing service opportunities, providing service to the Memphis area, and it counts towards your curriculum. And that's just how much we believe that service should be part of our mission. As optometrists, we hope that everyone goes back to their community and will be giving back to their local community, the optometric community, and giving back as a whole. It's very important to us, and it's part of our mission, so much so that we put it in our curriculum. But outside of our curriculum, there's a lot of service opportunities as well. You may be familiar with SPOSH, with that Student Volunteers and Optometric Service to Humanity. That actually started at SCO a long time ago. A lot of other schools participate in that as well, but that's when you participate in service all year long, raising money, collecting glasses, making the glasses in a useful fashion. And then there are several countries that we go and provide care, optometric care in those countries for a week or so. There are other trips that are local, the remote area medical missions. There's a lot of underserved areas, not too far from Memphis. A lot of times it might be a little bit of a drive, but we want to make sure we're providing care in areas that need it here at home as well. And again, there's a lot of community screenings as well, but during SPOSH and the remote area medical missions, we're providing comprehensive care. And as I mentioned, we feel so strongly about service, it's part of our curriculum. All right. And there's additional opportunities provided throughout your time here. There are plenty of opportunities to get involved. Sometimes it's hard to determine what are the ones that you can't do or that you need to wait, because they're all pretty fun, and working with your classmates, getting to know your faculty members in a service-oriented area, getting to know the community that's providing the patients and support for our school and for your education. We always want to recognize that and give back where we can. It's a lot of fun. All right, so 4 years of hard work, and what's the end goal? Well, your OD degree, your Doctor of Optometry. So you will get your Doctor of Optometry degree from Southern College of Optometry, and that degree makes you eligible for licensure to practice optometry. And the reason why we word it like that is because you still have to meet whatever your state requirements are. And each state has their Board of Optometry has their own website. If you already know some of the states you're interested in, I would suggest you look at it as soon as possible, just to see what kind of things that state allows you to do, what kind of expectations they have. For some of the states, you might have to get a certain level of a score on your national board. For some of them, you might have to pass the injections part of national boards. Some of the states might not even have injections yet. So there's a lot of different requirements. Optometry.org is the website for the National Board of Examiners, and each of your states are going to have their own website, so to tell you about the scope of practice, legislative things that might be occurring in your state, and it's good to be aware of those because that's your future. Let's see. And of course, learning doesn't stop after graduation and licensure. As we mentioned, we're committed to lifelong learning. That's a big part of the future of our profession. Everything's going to change at some point. We all need to stay involved. You're making a commitment to the profession of optometry. Whatever institution you choose to go to, you're going to be part of that. You're going to represent them for the rest of your life, and we want to make sure that we're providing our patients with the best care. And so you can't, whatever is going to be cutting edge by the time you come out of optometry school, it's not going to stay that way forever. So each state also has requirements as far as your continuing education. How many hours of CE, which is continuing education, that you need to have each year. But a lot of it's going to be what you make of it. So there's a lot of classes, there's a lot of workshops that you can enhance your skills and always continue to learn, and residencies help with that as well. I think that's where we're going next. Yep. So what is a residency program? So unlike medical school, optometry does not require a residency. So residency is optional, so they are competitive as well. And the residency is usually lasts for 12 months. Occasionally you can find a fellowship opportunity that might be longer than 12 months, but a residency is at least 12 months. And we don't specialize in optometry. So I can't say, even though I did my residency in a VA medical center, I can't say that I specialize in hospital care. Even if I did my ocular disease residency, I cannot say that I specialize in ocular disease. But if I have a residency certificate in one of those areas, you know that that's going to be my strength, where I have an extra emphasis and expertise. And that goes for any state. That's not just Tennessee. And why did I choose to do a residency, and why does it benefit others? It just makes you better faster. In general, people that have done a residency, you don't necessarily actually get paid more, but a lot of job opportunities, they may want someone who's either had 5 to 10 years of experience or has completed a residency. Because usually that's how people look at it. You're getting more experience, a concentrated level of experience, so you're just going to be better faster. And it'll improve your confidence as well. Everybody who graduates from SCO is prepared to become a doctor, but there's no way that you're ever going to know everything. And that's for anybody. So the more you learn, the better you'll be. And the residency puts you in challenging patient care scenarios where you still have a mentor. So you're not having to do it quite all on your own yet. So your confidence just improves, your clinical skills improve, and you just get better faster. And that's something you'll always have to be able to say, is that you have that residency certification. So I recommend a residency for everyone, even though that they're optional. And SCO does offer more residency positions than any other school. Those are not all on site at SCO. We do have some SCO residencies on site. We have our contact lens residency, pediatrics and vision therapy, and primary care as well. And those are our on-site ones are growing, but every residency has to be affiliated with an optometry school. So we have the most residencies that are affiliated with our school. And that shows you our dedication. We really do believe that the profession as a whole benefits when people get more training. So residencies benefit our profession as a whole. We're committed to trying to make sure that there are quality residency positions available for everyone that would want one. Well, that pretty much wraps up what we had in store for you today. There's certainly more information, and if you have questions specifically, you can email me anytime. Rebecca's here as well. Were there any questions so far?
I don't see any questions in GoToWebinar, but we'll give you all just a minute or two. Does anybody have a question out there today? And as we wait a minute for questions to come through, I want to thank you, Dr. Elkins, for being with us today and sharing all that great information with the participants. I think it was really helpful, especially as many of the students on the line today are already thinking that SCO is the place for them and envisioning what their 4 years here are going to be like. So just a quick note that once again, will provide the recording of the session on our YouTube page, which you can find a link to through our own website. I provided the link at the bottom there, sco.edu/online information sessions. We do have a monthly webinar series that this session today is a part of, in addition to it being a part of our Health Professions Week programming. So we're off for December so we can plan for the next calendar year, but starting in January and each month thereafter, we will continue to have webinars. So I encourage you all to keep posted on what webinars are upcoming. We have a variety of topics. We talk about financial aid, OAT, all sorts of things. So just keep a lookout for more information to come through about our next webinar series for the spring semester. And I do see a couple questions. We have a great student, Miranda, out there saying thank you. You're very welcome, Miranda. And then a question from Sarah, do we have information on potential financial support? And Sarah, we do have a ton of information on the financial support that we offer students. Just to briefly mention, we have a scholarship program for incoming students and scholarships available for current students, a separate sort of program for that. And then a large majority of our students, I think the stat is 86%, are on financial assistance through loans as well. So that's a whole nother topic that we could talk another half an hour about, but I encourage you to peruse our website. We have a really great financial aid section on our website, which gives you information about how to apply, what kind of funding is available, and has a debt calculator tool as well. So you can get a sense for not only what tuition is at SCO, but what the cost of living is and what your expense would be over the course of the 4 years here. So Sarah, take a look at our website and then give me a call or shoot me an email, and we can talk in a lot more detail about financial support, whether it be our scholarship or our financial aid program. Great question. Thank you. Any other?
And I do want to chime in just for a second on that. Rebecca's absolutely right that the financial aid is a huge topic, but we're also very proud of being in Memphis. The cost of living is amazing, and for us to be a private institution, we have a very affordable education. And thinking about that we are a private standalone institution, all of the decisions being made about our institution, it's all about optometry. We don't have to worry about funding ever being cut for optometry. It's all about optometry. We're a private, single-purpose institution, and it's amazing how affordable we're still able to keep everything, as well as the value. Our board scores are always above the national average for the last decades that I can remember. We're just very proud of our institution. So please keep all that in mind. Rebecca is a great resource, and there's a lot of information on our website as well.
And just to note, one statistic that does demonstrate a lot, I suppose, is that we have a 0% default rate for the last 21 years. And that means that all SCO students are graduating and able to pay off the loans that they've taken on for the last 21 years. So it's really indicative that our students are graduating and finding work that allows them to do so. We have another question that came through, Dr. Elkins. How many weeks are in each term?
And that's going to vary a little bit. So a traditional semester is going to be around 15 weeks. That's going to vary between 13 and 15 weeks for your fall and your spring. As we mentioned during the summer, those are usually a full summer term is probably going to be around 13 weeks. That summer mini term that starts your second year, that's going to be about 6 weeks. So it's still 8 credit hours, but it's all condensed into that 6 weeks. So what would be a full 13 to 15 week curriculum condensed in that 6 weeks. So that's why it's only the 8 credit hours for that term. But most terms are around 14 to 15 weeks.
Awesome, great. Any other questions out there? Going once, going twice. All right, well, thanks once again, everyone. Thanks, Dr. Elkins, and we are ready to wrap up. So I hope everyone has a great afternoon. Feel free to email or call us anytime with all of your questions. Thanks again.
Thank you.